Hello, friends. Welcome once again. Today we'll dive into a story that shows us how recognizing our own strengths, dedicating ourselves with persistence, and keeping the right mindset can open doors to success. It's a reminder that each of us carries unique abilities, and when we nurture them, we can truly excel. Along the way, we'll also pick up some new English words and practice how to use them in simple, natural sentences. So stay with us until the very end of this journey. In a small and quiet town, there lived a cheerful family. Among them was a 12-year-old boy named David, a 6th grader with endless energy. His greatest passion was soccer. Every afternoon, without fail, David would grab his ball and head to the local field, practicing his moves and dreaming of becoming a great player one day. One afternoon, after coming home from school, David dropped onto the couch with an unusual look on his face. He opened his math book but quickly leaned back, clearly frustrated. His father, who had just returned from the garden, noticed something was wrong and sat beside him. Gently, he asked what was bothering his son. David sighed and confessed that he had received a low grade in math again. What troubled him even more was that his best friend and neighbor, Matt, always seemed to do so well in the subject, no matter how hard David tried. Listening carefully, his father brought him a glass of water and then led him outside to the family's backyard, a peaceful place shaded by trees. There, with a calm voice, his father told him that the day's frustration could actually become a valuable lesson. In fact, there were 3 lessons David needed to learn, lessons that could guide him for the rest of his life. David's curiosity grew. He asked his father what these lessons were, and his father replied that David would discover them one by one through challenges. The first challenge was simple: invite Matt to play soccer the next day. The following afternoon, David and Matt met on the soccer field. As usual, David played with confidence, scoring 3 goals and leading his team to victory. Matt, however, stumbled often, missed passes, and clearly wasn't comfortable with the sport. Still, both boys laughed and enjoyed their time together. That evening, David eagerly told his father what had happened. His father smiled and said, "You see, David, just as Matt struggles in soccer, you struggle in math. And just as you shine on the field, he shines in the classroom. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and that's perfectly fine." The boy nodded, understanding the first lesson. People are different, and each one has their own talents. The next day, his father gave him a second challenge: pay attention to Matt at school and notice how he interacts with numbers. All day, David observed his friend. He saw Matt solving problems quickly, counting things during breaks, and even turning everyday moments, like calculating change or counting flower petals, into math practice. When he shared these observations with his father that evening, his father explained, "That's why Matt is so good. He enjoys math and practices it all the time. If you want to improve at something, you must practice consistently, just like you do with soccer." This opened David's eyes. He realized practice wasn't limited to sports. It applied to every skill. Finally came the third challenge. His father asked, "How much better do you think Matt is at math compared to you?" After a moment, David answered, "Maybe 3 times better." His father then said, "Then tomorrow, try studying 3 times harder." Determined, David spent hours with his math book after school. He pushed himself until his head ached, and eventually he fell asleep at his desk. Later that evening, his father gently woke him for dinner. Feeling disappointed, David admitted that he couldn't complete the challenge. His father patted his head and reassured him, "This is what happens when we force ourselves into something we don't enjoy. Discipline becomes heavy, but when you love what you do, staying consistent feels natural, just like soccer does for you." Then his father shared the final wisdom: if you want to master something, either choose what you already love or learn to love what you're studying. That's the secret to true growth. From that day forward, David carried those 3 lessons with him. Respect everyone's unique strengths, understand the power of practice, and realize that passion makes discipline lighter. And just like that, we've learned new words and expressions through this story. Remember, learning English, or any skill, becomes easier when you practice regularly and find joy in the process. Keep studying, keep practicing, and keep growing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next Wordy Tale, where more stories and more learning await. Weeks passed, and David carried those lessons in his heart, but as every young boy does, he sometimes forgot to apply them right away. One morning at school, his teacher announced a science fair project. Each student had to work in pairs and create something original that showed creativity, knowledge, and teamwork. As soon as the announcement was made, David's eyes immediately turned to Matt. Without hesitation, he asked if they could team up, and Matt agreed with a big smile. At first, David felt nervous. Science wasn't exactly his strongest subject, and he feared he would slow Matt down. But then he remembered his father's words. We all have different strengths. This gave him courage. When they started working together, Matt quickly began drafting equations and ideas, while David thought about how to build, design, and make the project visually impressive. For days, the two boys met after school. Matt explained the science behind their experiment, while David focused on the presentation and physical construction. Slowly, David realized something important. Even though he didn't excel in math and science like his friend, he had an eye for creativity, structure, and teamwork. Together, their strengths balanced perfectly. When the day of the science fair finally arrived, the room buzzed with excitement. Parents, teachers, and students gathered to see the projects. David and Matt proudly presented their volcano experiment that not only erupted with colors, but also included clear, well-written explanations. The judges were impressed, not just with the experiment, but with the way both boys worked together, highlighting each other's talents. At the end of the event, their project was awarded second place. David felt an overwhelming sense of pride. It wasn't just about the prize, it was about realizing that success doesn't always come from doing everything perfectly on your own, but from combining strengths and supporting each other. That night, as they sat in the backyard again, David shared his joy with his father. His father smiled and said, "Now you've learned another truth, my son. Life is not a race to be the best at everything. It's about finding where your gifts meet the world's needs and learning how to join forces with others." Those words stayed with David. From then on, whenever he faced a challenge, he remembered not only the 3 original lessons, but also the new one he had discovered through teamwork. He began to understand that talents grow when shared, and that friendship often unlocks doors that solitary effort cannot. As the school year continued, David didn't magically become a math genius overnight. He still struggled at times, but instead of being discouraged, he practiced with more patience. He started to ask Matt for help in small ways and, in return, offered to help Matt with sports or creative assignments. Their friendship deepened, and so did David's belief in his own potential. Over time, David noticed something else. His mindset was changing. The frustration that once made him give up was slowly being replaced with curiosity and persistence. Each time he solved even a small math problem, he celebrated, knowing progress didn't have to be huge to be meaningful. One evening, while reflecting in the garden, David's father told him, "The real secret of growth is not just talent or even hard work. It's the combination of patience, passion, and persistence. You are learning how to cultivate all 3. David nodded with determination, realizing his journey was only beginning. He had once thought success belonged only to those naturally gifted, but now he understood that it belonged to anyone willing to practice, to learn, and to believe in their unique path. And so, with a soccer ball at his feet, a math book on the table, and his father's wisdom in his heart, David walked forward into the future, ready to face new challenges, celebrate new victories, and keep learning with joy every step of the way.